Champions Cup this weekend. There are, how many is it? 5 games on Saturday. Each kind of interesting for their own reasons. We'll go through the games quickly, some of the players who are playing, predictions, and you guys can let me know your thoughts on how this one is going to go. The first one, Cardiff and Toulouse, seems a bit like David and Goliath, doesn't it? Because Cardiff are fielding a very, very depleted squad, with many of their first team guys not being available due to the whole travel to South Africa, new variant, red zone travel list, maybe some COVID cases, I can't actually remember. But yeah, Scarlets in the same situation ended up having to forfeit their game against Bristol. But Cardiff are going to play, and who are they playing? Just the reigning champions of the Champions Cup. So, yeah, it looks like a pretty tough ask. I mean, you look at this Cardiff squad, there's a bunch of guys I don't know. I mean, you still got Josh Adams, you still got Holo, you still got Seb Davis, Jenkins, Botham, Thomas Williams. You've got a bunch of good players, and then a whole bunch of guys I don't even know. So, academy players, wider training squad players, whatever it is, they've managed to field a 23. For some of these guys, this will be the biggest game of their lives. So, congratulations to them on the selection. I hope they enjoy the day. It may be a bit of a hiding, just based on paper. You're coming up a team which has got Bai, Malvaka, and Famuina. So you got 2 current French internationals and a former Rugby World Cup winning All Black prop. You got Flamand, Kos, Jalon, not to mention World Player of the Year Dupont and Intermarket 9 and 10. You got Pidaki, Gatoun, Medad. It's just an absolutely stacked Toulouse squad. So in theory, these guys should absolutely blow Cardiff away. Now I know in football, soccer, sometimes the team which is like the underdogs, like in a cup game when it's a lower division team up against a big team, can sometimes play out of their skins for a while. Sometimes that happens in rugby, but sometimes you just get one side run away with it. All Blacks did that to a few teams this year, which way is this one going to go? I don't know. But on paper, it looks like Toulouse should give Cardiff an absolute hiding. It is played in Cardiff, so there's a slight advantage there to the Cardiff guys, but anyway, as I said, it does look like it's a David and Goliath one, so we'll see how it goes. I couldn't even find this one being advertised at the local bookmaker, but the Rugby Forecast algorithm says Toulouse by 4, remembering it doesn't take into account the playing roster. It just looks at team against team, but even then 4 seems a bit conservative. I think it's probably going to be more than 4, to put my neck out there. The next game also seems like a bit of a tough ask. Bath have to travel to Dublin to take on Leinster. Bath, who have not had a win this season. They're none from 9 in the Premiership, taking on a team who's dropped 1 game in the URC and a kind of constant Champions Cup semi-final finalist in Leinster. So, yeah, it looks like a tough ask. It's on after the first game. It's on at 3:15 GMT. Look at this Leinster squad. You kind of always look at it and go, how many of these guys are Ireland starters? You got Porter, Kelleher, Furlong, front row. You got Ryan Baird in there. Rhys Ruddock's captain. Josh Van der Fleer's there. Caelan Doris is there. Gibson Park's there. Ross Burns having to start because I don't think Sexton's available. But James Lowe's there. Ringrose is there. Jordan Lama's there. Keenan's there. Yeah, it's also a pretty mighty looking squad. If you had that squad playing up against Toulouse, that looks like it might be a bit more of a game, but that may be for later on in the season. So for Bath, I mean, maybe it's a chance to turn things around. And I think Leinster have had some COVID cases as well. They didn't name names, but it seems like a bit of a slight disruption. So Bath need to turn their season around. I don't think this is probably the game to get it done. But what can you do, man? You got Yules, he's captain, he's in the second row. Ben Spencer and Orlando Bailey. Bailey's looked pretty good. This will be a good experience for him, even if the team do end up getting a hiding. Just keep going, eh? Ajomo as well, another young man who's going to kind of benefit from some European experience. So, yeah, the bookies over here in New Zealand have got Leinster by 31, and the Rugby Forecast algorithm in this case goes even further and says by 35. So, yeah. With the COVID factor, we'll kind of always have to wait and see what happens in terms of the testing. I'm sure there'll be kind of more pre-match testing or whatever it is. But if the game goes ahead and it's those lineups, it should be should be Leinster by plenty. Now, the next game is the one that I'm perhaps most looking forward to, Bordeaux and Leicester, because you got the number 1 team in the top 14 up against the number 1 team in the Premiership playing in the opening round of the Champions Cup. So that's fantastic. Bordeaux are 9 wins, 2 losses and a draw in their top 14 campaign. The Premiership's got Leicester with 9 wins on the trot, not a loss or a draw in sight. Maybe I will shut the door, eh? Give me a second. I'm not sure if that'll make any difference, but anyway, my neighbours, both sides, have got huge back sections that they seem to chop with weed whackers or line trimmers once a year. So they've been doing that recently. Now it's summer. Yeah, where were we? Leicester and Bordeaux, like I mentioned, big one just in terms of where the two teams are at. They're both sitting quite pretty. I look at Bordeaux's lineup. I mean, you've got like Poirot and Tameifuna. There's some kind of big units in the front row, so scrum time's going to be important. I haven't seen Ben Lamb play in ages because I don't follow the top 14, but he is one of kind of the cracking guys in Super Rugby just a couple of years ago. You got veterans like Picamoles there and Trunduk, at their back row, and at 10, Wokie's been in phenomenal form for France, so I'm kind of keen to see him go in Bordeaux colours. But then for Leicester, you've also got George Ford, who's been in cracking form as well. Visa, the Springbok number 8, has been in good form for club and country. Gensch, Dolly and Hayes are going to have to battle that big front row. So yeah, there seems to be a lot to like about this game. I think this one is probably one of my must-watch games. This one's on at 4:15 local time, which I think is 3:15 GMT, which is probably going to be, I think, 4:15 in the morning for me. So either live or on demand. That one looks like it could be a very, very interesting one. Bordeaux favourites with the bookies by 8 and with the Rugby Forecast algorithm by 10. For Clermont and Ulster, it's also one, like two teams doing okay. I mean, Clermont probably a bit disappointing, 6-6 in the top 14. Ulster did drop their last game in the URC, which was a bit disappointing after beating Leinster a fortnight ago. So yeah, the European campaign is going to be an interesting one to see. Obviously in France, it's going to look like a pretty uphill battle for the Ulster guys, especially when you look at that Clermont back row of Vituria, Yato and Lee. Fritz Lee, it's a pretty good looking back row. You got Pinot there on one wing, you got Raka there on the other, you got former French international Vaha Mahina there, Slimani, Ravai. Like there's good players in many of the positions for Clermont, but maybe similar to the Racing 92 roster. The roster looks better than what we've apparently been seeing in the top 14 performances, so maybe Europe's a chance for them to kind of take it up another gear. Ulster have got a few guys out, but you've still got a pretty strong lineup. Vermeulen's going to get his first Ulster game from number 8, so that's a bit of good news. He had a bit of COVID after the Barbars game got cancelled, but he's back and available. Timone's been in good form in the URC. He's there at number 7, and McCloskey and Humes are pretty bulky looking midfield, so they'll be looking to really put some pressure on Cooney and Burns if they can run the show. Cooney, when he's on European hot form, is a real handful, so I'm kind of hoping for a bit of that, seeing as he's now back and fit. They have got a 6-2 split on the bench to Ulster, so yeah, they're probably expecting a pretty big battle up front because of that. But Clermont, as I said, favourites in France, 3 points with the bookies and 6 points with the Rugby Forecast algorithm. The last one is Exeter against Montpellier, and when I was looking through the Montpellier lineup, I feel like there's a few names missing. I was expecting to see some guys like Pollard or Garbisi at 10, like Willemse and Surfontaine and Rattez and Bouthier, all these guys. None of them are playing. So I feel like maybe Montpellier is focusing on the top 14 this season. I'm not sure. But they're away to Exeter, which is a tough place to go. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff, so it's a late game, which is perfect for me because that'll be about 8 o'clock in the morning. So I'll probably end up watching this one, even if Montpellier don't seem to be playing their strongest team. But you guys who follow the top 14 have to let me know. Just there's more guys who I'm less familiar with than guys I expected to see. Is where I'm coming from. For Exeter, it's a pretty strong lineup. The two locks, the two Johnnies, Johnny Hill and Johnny Gray. They'll be a handful for sure because they're such big guys and get through a lot of work, especially Johnny Gray. The front row is bulky. It's the kind of what you expect from Exeter. Slade's been in cracking form at 13. Sam Simmons is going to be a handful if he can get the ball a couple metres out, or if he gets into open space because he's got those wheels about him. For Montpellier, like I mentioned, they've got Forsan starting at 10. I think he's a young French guy. I don't know much about him. They've got Paengamosa, who I know from Super Rugby at hooker. I'm not sure if he's been getting a lot of game time. Nico Janssen van Rensburg is in the back row. I know him more as a lock when he was playing with South Africa recently, but maybe he plays more in the back row in France. I'm not sure, but as I mentioned, Zach Mercer's there. He's on the bench, but there's a fair few guys who I was expecting to see who are not in this Montpellier side. And the bookies odds saying Exeter by 23, again, leads me to believe this is probably not Montpellier's strongest side. But there you go. Rugby Forecast algorithm says Exeter by 12, so either way. Pretty much all home favourites, barring Toulouse against Cardiff. But yeah, can you guys see any potential upsets in this one? Do you think Bordeaux and Leicester is going to be the biggest game of the round, or do you think it's going to be a bridge too far for the Leicester guys to continue their hot form over in France? Anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts. What do you reckon the scoreline for Cardiff is going to be? I do feel sorry for those guys, but as I mentioned, it's an opportunity. If nothing else, you got to look on the bright side. But yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts, and I will talk to you again soon. See you later.